Hello and welcome back once again to the Wrestling Group. I'm your host, as always, Ryan, and today we are going to be doing our AEW Fright Night Dynamite preview and predictions video. So as always, feel free to let me know your predictions in the comment section below, and don't forget while you're there to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. So tonight we are having a special episode of Dynamite. Tony Khan is going all out to set up the next matches going into Full Gear. Obviously the only match we have at the moment for Full Gear is Mercedes Moné versus Chris Statlander for the AEW Women's World Championship. So Tony is already looking at other matches to add to the card, and we're going to be getting some of that tonight. So there are 5 matches on the card tonight that have been announced. Obviously, they could start and another match or 2 could get added. That has happened quite a lot, to be fair. But up to now, this is looking like the full card. So we'll start with Jamie Hayter and Queen Aminata are going to be facing off against the Sisters of Sin in the quarterfinals match of the AEW Women's Tag Team Championship Tournament. Obviously, Jamie Hayter and Queen Aminata picked up their victory last week, and they were able to pick who they wanted to face in the first round match. And they picked the Sisters of Sin, which is obviously Sky Blue and Julia Hart. Now, with Queen Aminata and Jamie Hayter picking up the victory last week, it seems that they are going to at least be favourites for this match, unfortunately for me. I'm a big fan of Queen Aminata. Jamie Hayter, not so much since she returned. Not been great. Not loving the gimmick. But the Sisters of Sin, I've really enjoyed their gimmick, and really enjoyed that they've linked up with Tekla. It's hard, isn't it? Because I feel like as well as because they've been a tag team so long, like they've been a tag team in AEW for about 2 years now. So I feel like they should easily be beating someone who's teamed together once. You know what I mean? And the fact that they've got Tekla really should be adding that into it. So, do you know what? I've talked myself into it. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with Sisters of Sin, pick up the victory. I'm going to say Tekla helps them to get through, and then we're going to get Tekla versus Jamie Hayter again at Full Gear. That's what I'm going with. I was going to go Hayter and Aminata, but I've talked myself into it. I think Tekla's going to be the deciding factor here and help the Sisters of Sin to get through, and then she'll face Hayter once again at Full Gear. Up next, we have an interesting match. A rematch of Jon Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly. Obviously, they faced off, and Mox was scared he was going to tap out, so decked the referee. I'm surprised they haven't made this like a no DQ or something then. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do with this. Mox, I love Kyle O'Reilly, but Mox should be beating Kyle O'Reilly. They're not exactly going to push Kyle as a singles wrestler. Although, if he does pick up another victory against Moxley, maybe they will. Maybe they'll push him. But I don't know where they push him because, he's already faced Carl Fletcher and lost for the TNT Championship. Obviously, Mox quit against Darby Allin and nearly quit against Kyle O'Reilly. So, he attacked the referee to make sure that didn't happen. Do you know what they should do, actually, for this match? They should have Aubrey referee, because then I doubt Mox would punch it in the face. But I don't know. I'm interested to see what they do with this. Could we see Kyle pick up a victory? Maybe Mox by count out this time? I don't know. Because it was a bit of a shock last time. I was actually watching the match and I went, just hit the referee. Because I always say it, I don't understand why people don't do it more. And then he actually hit the ref and I was like, oh my God, I didn't actually expect him to do it. But for me, I think Jon Moxley picks up the victory. Obviously, we've got to start looking, get eyes on Full Gear. So Mox will more than likely play a decent part at Full Gear. And then we have Don Callis is calling a family summit. So obviously we've seen the issues over the last few weeks starting to creep up between Kazuchika Okada and Kenosuke Takeshita. They are the two of the biggest stars in the Don Callis family at the moment, along with Carl Fletcher. And since Okada's come into the Don Callis family, he sort of cast a bit of a shadow over Takeshita. Takeshita was the original, member. Don wanted to put all of his eggs on Takeshita at one point, and then obviously brought Carl Fletcher in. But then them two managed to work together as a team. Obviously, we got Proto Sheeted at one point. And now we've had, obviously, them two, Okada and Takeshita, team together at the last pay-per-view for the tag team titles, but didn't win. Lost against Brodito. So Don Callis is trying to, call a family summit. He's trying to do like a meeting, trying to get them back on the same page. Or could this be the start of, us leading up to what everyone's expecting, which is Okada versus Takeshita? Could we in fact see them get kicked out? Could the Don Callis family turn on Takeshita tonight? I think it might still be a little bit early. If I'm going on the fact that I think it's going to happen at Wrestle Kingdom, which means it'll be January, so we've still got a little bit of time yet before I'd expect them to be kicked out. But who knows? They could pull the trigger on it now. I mean, it could well be a match for Wrestle Dream. I'm just saying, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be for Wrestle Kingdom. So up next we have the Trick or Treat Tornado Tag Team match, and that is Death Rider members Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia, and they are facing off against Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy. So take it the Trick or Treat Tornado Tag match. I take it that means it's no DQ. Probably going to see someone's head get pounded in with a pumpkin, maybe. Who knows? It's the type of match that Darby should really thrive in. He's great in hardcore matches and that, and obviously if it's trick or treat to do with Halloween, he's the exact person that you'd want in this match. We've seen him team obviously with Orange Cassidy a couple of times over the years in AEW. I've always enjoyed them as a team. I wouldn't mind them having a little run as a tag team for the bit. And then we've seen obviously Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta. They've been teaming a lot over the last few weeks since Daniel Garcia joined the Death Riders. I still believe that they should have sent Wheeler and Garcia to New Japan and been part of the Best of Super Junior Tag League. The Juniors Tag League in Japan at the moment isn't great, and these two could have done great things there, but obviously they're involved in storylines right now, so that's obviously why that didn't happen. I expect Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy to pick up the victory. I think it'll be a very entertaining match. Probably get a bit bloody. But yeah, I'd expect Darby and Orange to pick up the victory here. So we'll go from one tag match to another, and we have the Fright Night Fatal 4-Way, with the winners going on to get a AEW Tag Team title shot at Full Gear against obviously our AEW World Tag Champions, which is Brodito. They've been on a great run since picking up the belts. So we have obviously one of the greatest tag teams in professional wrestling history in the Young Bucks. They will be facing off one of the greatest tag teams in professional wrestling history in FTR, and they will face off against the ever so lovable Jurassic Express. They've not long returned to the ring together as a team. Picked up the victory against the Young Bucks at the last pay-per-view, and they'll be facing off against the ever fan favourite Jet Speed. Since they've both come in to the company, they've started a team together and they've become a really, really good team, a really well-oiled machine. And it just shows, like, these four teams, and obviously Brodito as well, and there's a couple of other teams, but these four teams especially are showing just how hot the AEW tag division is right now. And this is the thing, I watched an interview leading up to the last pay-per-view where the Young Bucks said they'll put this tag division against the 2019 tag team division. Do you know what? I'd actually agree with that. Just look at the teams that are involved in this match. So this is a Fatal 4-Way with the winning team getting a shot at those AEW tag team titles. At Full Gear, I'm going to say Jurassic Express pick up the victory. FTR, they eventually are going to face Cope and Cage again. Young Bucks, I can't imagine them getting a shot at the tag team titles. They've just lost against Jurassic Express at the last pay-per-view. And obviously Jet Speed are in an ongoing feud at the moment with FTR. So I'd expect Jurassic Express maybe even to pin the Young Bucks again. Could be like 2-3, was it only 2 weeks ago? Should be like 2 weeks in a row. beating the Young Bucks. Not many teams have done that, and it definitely steered them in the right direction. I think Brody, those run as tag team champions, is probably going to come to a close soon, and I could see Jurassic Express being the team to take those belts. They are a little bit edgier than when they were first together. They're not the white hot baby faces as they were the very first time, so they have got a bit of an edge to them, and I think they're going to need an edge to face off against, obviously, Bandito's having an absolute phenomenal 2025. He's really come into his own as a complete wrestler. He's been fantastic, and Brody King's been one of my favourites since the beginning of AEW, and I'm glad he's got a championship in AEW, and hopefully after they drop the AEW tag belts, Brody will go on and pick up a singles title as well. Brody versus Kyle Fletcher for the TNT Championship, maybe. Could have Brody versus Okada again. There's plenty of belts there for Brody to go for. Or we could even have Brody versus Bandito for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. But yeah, for this match, I'm going with Jurassic Express. So that leaves us with the last match, which I'd assume would be the main event. It is the Fright Night Fatal 4-Way, with the winners facing off against Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Championship at Full Gear. So we have Hook. He's not long returned to the company. He started teaming with Eddie Kingston. Obviously, he's got history with Samoa Joe, who's also in this match. Hook and Joe once teammates under the Ops before Hook got injured, and then as he returned, he seemed to not want anything to do with the Ops since. Now they've turned heel, I can imagine he definitely doesn't want anything to do with them now. And then next we have Ricochet, and he's in a non-standing feud with Bobby Lashley. So we've got two sets of two going on here, same as what we did with the tag. Young Bucks and Jurassic Express, Jet Speed and FTR, all the storylines all link up there. The same with this match, Bobby Lashley and Ricochet, obviously Hurt Syndicate and The Demand, they've been feuding now for a couple of months. And then obviously, like say, Samoa Joe, he's got a history with Hook, so all the stories tie up really nicely. I would expect Samoa Joe to pick up the victory, obviously after him losing the AEW World title match against Hangman Page. He then attacked him, turning heel with the Ops and laying out Hangman. And that storyline seems to have not been finished yet, so I'd expect a rematch at Full Gear, and why not? Like, Samoa Joe is one of the greatest wrestlers that we've had in history, so if he can still compete at the top level, and we showed the last pay-per-view that he could do that, then why not book him in there again? Plus, with them putting Hook in, would make me think that we're going to have a story with the Ops and Hook and Eddie Kingston at some point. Maybe even be Powerhouse Hobbs and Shibata versus Hook and Kingston, maybe at the pay-per-view, who knows? But, I'd expect either Hook or Ricochet to get beat here. I don't think Bobby or Joe would be pinned. Obviously, I think Joe's going to win. So that is my prediction. So I think we're going to get Hangman Page versus Samoa Joe 2 at Full Gear. And I think we'll get Jurassic Express versus Rodito at Full Gear. So they're the matches that I think will be announced at the end of Dynamite. So, as always, let me know your predictions in the comment section below. And don't forget, if you haven't already, leave us a like, drop us a comment, and of course, subscribe to the Wrestling Group today.